Welcome to the Sound of Movement podcast. Today we are we're continuing this week's discussion around training splits and specificity for your skills masterclasses to ensure that you build a full weekly training split for balanced results. And today it is all about adding in the handstand.
What's up, tribe? My name is Yani Ballmeister. Across the table we got Rad, and behind the mixer we got Richie. We're Unity Gym and the Unified Movement System. Now, guys, remember, before we get started, this series is brought to you by our epic 12 Days of Christmas sale. Until the 24th of December, you can join our UMS online coaching and get a free 14-day trial. Plus, if you stay on, you get every masterclass included in the regular monthly subscription. That's an additional $1,200 USD of UMS Masterclass epicness. And guys, at any time throughout this series, if you have a different skill that we haven't covered or we're not covering that you would like us to talk about or how to fit best into a training split, jump onto the UMS Movement Mastermind Facebook group and ask the question. We stream these podcast recordings live to the group. Big shout out to anyone listening on YouTube as well. Hit that like button and support the channel. How are we, guys?
Yeah, really good. Really, really good.
How are you, Richard? Get one word in before we start.
Very good, Yanni. Thank you for including
me. Good discussion today. The handstand, the introduction of inversion into your training is one of the most frustrating things, because just as you start to feel like you're getting better, you start to feel the pain of the body's adaptation to being upside down. It's not something that we're designed to do by nature, and so we start to really test areas of the body that just aren't conditioned for it, like the wrists, the hands, the shoulders, and the neck are usually the problem areas. If you don't hurt something in your hands, then you usually start to get pain in your neck from your traps just flaring up and spasming from it.
Yeah, I've found, it's important for people to understand that, a lot of, at least the gymnastics coaches that I've learnt from, they talk about the handstand as being the entry-level calisthenics movement. And there's a reason why. In all honesty, you might not feel this, but it is actually probably the easiest calisthenics movement to learn. It requires the least amount of strength to be able to achieve. It is a skill movement, but it does require a lot of conditioning in the body. And that conditioning that occurs in the wrists, elbows, and shoulders especially, and also postural awareness, that carries over to all calisthenics. And that's why people consider it the entry level to calisthenics.
Yep.
That said, it is unbelievable how much harder it is to get a good handstand without injuring yourself when you start this journey as an adult.
Yeah.
As a child, our bodies are just like, even up until your late teens, maybe in the early 20s, mid 20s is when it really starts to taper off. So even through your teenage years, we're just completely geared to adapt to whatever stimulus comes at us. We don't have any degeneration in our joints yet. Our bodies are really, really good at healing and at adapting to whatever we give it. And you can train so differently under those circumstances. You can basically just throw yourself into things and with a little bit of guidance and a little bit of direction, and you'll get a handstand, and a lot of people can remember that. A lot of people can remember playing around with handstands as a kid, no problems. Maybe they didn't do a very good handstand. I know I didn't, but you could do it. You didn't hurt yourself.
Certainly wasn't a straight line handstand.
No. But when you take the journey on as an adult, when you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever it is, and you go, okay, I'm gonna start, learning this handstand that I've never worked on before. Wow, do you get a surprise as to how much conditioning is required?
It's a humbling experience, yeah. Especially because the nature, and handstands is one of those like skills that has to be done very, very regularly to actually get good at it. A lot of coaches will say you have to handstand every day, and unfortunately, that level of volume, the body just gets exposed. And it happened to all of us. I'm quite sure it happened to all of us once we started doing handstands a lot. And it's funny, even some of the best handstand hand balancers in the world who have come and taught us, here at Unity Gym seem to all carry injuries as well, you know, in the shoulders and things like that, because they, just like everyone else, rush into it without really properly understanding the basics of strength and conditioning and how to set that foundation and how long it takes and that sort of thing, you know. So we sort of created a masterclass on this to prevent that from happening, you know. Like, anyone can jump up on their hands against a wall, and anyone can try and kick up into a handstand, and if you do that a few thousand times, you're going to get somewhat better at it. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to clean up your line and make you look nice and straight. And I'll dare say that almost anyone can probably teach themselves by themselves to get to like a 5-second handstand, because you can hold yourself up for 5 or 10 seconds through brute strength. But the handstand to be able to do it for 60 seconds and up is not a strength movement, and that's where you need the straight line. You need to be able to stack your joints in a really efficient way so that it's not actually muscle fatigue that drops you down, you know. And to take it beyond that sort of 5-second mark that I think most people can probably achieve on their own, you really do need to do it properly, you know. And the masterclass that we put together for hand balancing covers a lot of core conditioning, wrist conditioning, shoulder conditioning. It sort of nice and progressively takes you up into an inverted position, and it does it the right way. I'm very confident in saying that it is learning to do the handstand the right way, and it came together from learning from 3 different professional hand balancers and taking the best parts of their coaching and systems and cues, and then combining that with proper modern day strength and conditioning, all of the scientific principles of super accumulation, super compensation, and progressive overload.
Whenever we've learned hand balancing from a professional hand balancing coach, they give you a bunch of different things to do, but I've never had anybody give it to me in a periodized program using progressive overload like what our Handstand Masterclass is. And we had to really delve deep and ask, why do you do this before this, and what's the reason? And maybe it wasn't even so much that. I think it's more just that we understand progressive overload and periodization because we're strength and conditioning coaches, and we've been writing programs for almost 20 years now that we were able to go, okay, well, this is how this should be written into a program. Because whenever we've worked with, Cirque du Soleil level hand balancers, you just get a whole bunch of information, but there's no path of how to go, well, at least in our experience, and we've now worked with several of them, and it's the same thing over and over again. So, if we discuss just briefly our experience with load management and injury risks, this is my experience with hand balancing. I was 35 or 36, so it was about 6 years, 36 or 37 maybe, about 6 years ago, when I said, no, it would have been 5 years ago. I said, all right, I'm going to learn how to do handstands. Let's do it. And so we went along, we did a couple of workshops with some people, we learned all this stuff, and then I came in and started practicing it, just like they said, do it 5 days a week, do this. And within the first few months, I developed such bad pain in my wrist that I couldn't put any weight on my wrist. And it took about 6 months of physio to get past that. Then that was when we created the Handstand Masterclass, or shortly after that, I think, and we created this progressive approach to it. And that was when I was able to go from there to being able to do a decent handstand and then onto a press to handstand. So it's you've got to think, if somebody my strength and my capability can throw themselves into something like that, and
well, during exactly the same period, because we all trained at the same time and the same pace, I hurt my shoulder.
Yeah.
And I ended up having to go and see a good friend of ours who's one of the best physios, and I had this horrible shoulder dysfunction going on, and it was affecting everything I was doing. And he sort of said, like, what are you doing different? Yeah. What are you doing? You've got really strong shoulders. Why are you? And I said, I'm learning to do a handstand. And he said, well, that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
You're not designed to stand. How regularly are you doing that? Every day? Of course, it exposes your issues. And it was an old injury that I'd had, a labrum tear that hadn't been a problem for over a decade. Yep. That just got exposed and came out, and my shoulder just like screamed at me, you know, and I was like, dang, and it was I can't remember if anything happened to Richie as well. Did you have any injuries when you were starting to go upside down?
Yeah, my forearms.
Yeah,
my tendinopathy.
That's right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure all three of us experienced something different, and
we're strong, capable dudes.
That's right.
We've done a lot of training before and a lot of conditioning.
Yeah.
And look,
good morning, Randall, by the way.
Good morning, Randall. This is a really good opportunity, of course, to discuss optimal training dosage, frequency, and intensity. And in the Handstand Masterclass, we start people in phase 1 with 4 days a week, then we move to 5 days and eventually 6 days. 6 days is the best dosage to do handstands because it's a skill, but this is what you really need to understand. The reason why we start with 4 and then go to 6 is because we want to see how people go. And what you need to understand is you don't work with pain. And we didn't understand this when we first started hand balancing. We didn't understand this concept. So you're hearing it from us, learn from our mistakes. Don't work with pain. You shouldn't be doing your hand balance training, your handstand training, and experiencing pain whilst you do it. And if you are, you need to reduce the intensity and reduce the volume. And what it means for some people is, our handstand masterclass is a really good blueprint to be able to get to the handstand, but it is likely going to need to be tweaked and modified for you as the individual. And you really need to understand this, because if you just hammer yourself and do what we did, because I remember experiencing the pain in my hand and thinking in my mind, I've got to push through it. Yeah. I can't be weak. I've got to push through it. And if I had have known what I know now, I would have deloaded the intensity. I would have gone to an easier, to a regression of a vertical handstand, and I would have gone to a feet assisted 45 degree or 60 degree handstand so that there's less pressure on my wrists for many reasons, less weight. There's some weight in your feet, but also it doesn't put the wrist into full 90-degree flexion. Flexion, no extension. It's really important that you understand that you understand, the optimal training dosage, frequency, and intensity. And this is something that we really try and work with people in the Handstand Masterclass. And then, if you want to go on to the next point, which is the emphasizing the need for supercompensation and progressive overload, if you haven't done a foundational strength and flexibility program before this, that's going to be a problem for you as well. If you just go straight into doing a handstand masterclass and you're not looking at how this fits into what adaptation needs to occur within your body before you unlock the handstand and what kinds of things you need to be doing, and that's why we recommend that this is a bolt-on to our UMS.
After the foundations and the general preparation phase. And it's really interesting. Randall's, it's great that we've got someone on the live stream in the UMS Movement Mastermind group who is working on this program right now.
Yep.
And he's shared his experiences, which is fantastic. But before I read that out, I want to just highlight a little discussion that's going on in the mastermind in regards to cardiovascular exercise being added to the foundations program. And one of our friends, Tim, has said, I've been holding off on starting foundations because it lacks the cardio that the at-home workouts that we've created have, which he loves. And then he's gone on to say, but and he's very excited about the concept of us tacking on, essentially repeating exactly what we do in Unity Gym here with our progressions program. But he said here, I've recently started hurting my shoulder during the P1 at-home workouts, and so we'll switch to foundations after Christmas to see if I can get balance right in my shoulder. And this is, the most important thing that people need to understand about a general preparations phase. And how I answered Tim's comment there is the general preparations phase, which we call the foundations program. Any strength coach will generally do a general preparations phase. It's training to be able to train at a high intensity. It's preparing your body to be able to withstand harder training. It is so important that you understand that is the goal. That is the goal. It's not about weight loss. It's not about improving cardiovascular fitness. It's about conditioning and preparing your body for harder training down the track. Will it carry over to being able to do better, more cardio? Absolutely. You'll be able to run better with better structures and balance in your body, better flexibility, better anatomical symmetry, better joint stability, But it's not, you can't fit cardio into it because there's so much to do, and the focus and the emphasis and the priority is about anatomical structural balance. You know, it's not about trying to get everything done there. And it is not about fitting handstands in, and it's not about fitting skills. It's just, you just do that foundation, build your foundation, balance your body. You're never going to be perfect, but it's going to bring you much closer to what we need, and it's going to prepare you for harder training, and then you move into thinking about these masterclasses and things like that. Now, I really just wanted to highlight that because...
Well, I think this is what you've just said is one of the biggest mistakes that people make, and I say that because it's a mistake that I made. I made the mistake of trying to do everything at once. Like when I started going down this movement path, you know, moving away from, for me, the journey was to move away from being a martial artist and started practicing calisthenics, then learning, being exposed to the world of movement, which was the concept, which is what we do, which was the generalist concept now. Before this, you know, 5-6 years ago, we'd never been exposed to that. We were either like you were a weightlifter and Richard was a weightlifter, you know, and I was a martial artist, and then I became a calisthenics person. And, you know, this idea of being a generalist mover where you can, you know, incorporate whatever works for you that's going to get you to where you want. You don't have to be, you know, stuck into one dogma. But the problem that we faced and that so many people face is that they try to do everything at once, and they think that that's what it means to be a mover, and it's not. The way that you should approach your body really is in mini projects, and a mini project, in my opinion, it should be looked at in a 6-month time frame. People might think, 6 months, really? Are you that serious? Well, I always say this, life goes by and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, time is ticking away, tick, tick.
Yeah,
there's nothing you can do with it. It is a constant change that is rolling out, and what you do with your time is going to turn you into either the person that you want to be or the person you don't want to be. Now, when you think about that and then you reflect back on the last 10 years, how quickly did the last 10 years go by? Like, I can't believe that I'm 42. I have memories of being 32 that are so fresh, it seems like it was just around the corner. But I can say this last decade, I'm more proud of this last decade than any other decade in my life. I've achieved more because I applied myself in the areas that I wanted to. And when you think about that, 6 months goes by so quickly in that respect. But if you spend the next 6 months just trying to do everything and chopping and changing without a very clear understanding of what it is that you want to have achieved at the end of that 6 months, you'll get to the end of the next 6 months and you'll have achieved a hell of a lot of nothing.
Yeah.
Again, the same thing will happen. You'll just have a lot of nothing to show for it. But if you decide, okay, I want to do a handstand, I want to do a muscle up, I want to do whatever it is, whatever your goals are, but you say to get to any of those things, what I need to do is what Yani just said, and you do that, you're going to set yourself up for anything.
Yeah.
And it's so important that people get their head around this. So, yeah.
So if you've just purchased the Handstand Masterclass or any of our Masterclass programs, you're probably feeling like, oh, well, you're just telling me to do something totally different. Now, all of these programs include a little bit of general prep. Like, we don't do a program where it's not, but it's nothing in comparison. It pales in existence to the full UMS Foundations program, because the full UMS Foundations program covers you from head to toe. Yeah. It is every single joint in the body getting a workout in the week. You know,
you can
it's
get
designed to do your entire body and balance your entire body. It's a full program split. Now, how you fit the Handstand Masterclass into a program split is a little different to a muscle up where we just do it 2 days a week or this or that. But it's absolutely critical that you have a decent starting point. And remember, the handstand is all upper body. There is no lower body getting trained in a Handstand Masterclass. So in nature, it is a incomplete program. It's an incomplete workout, you know, and so you need to be thinking about, okay, well, how am I going to stimulate the biggest muscles in my body, the legs? How am I going to make, because that's where you get all your power from, you know, that's where you generate all your force, that's where you generate all your stability, that's where you prevent yourself from falling over it at an old age and hurting yourself and really stuffing with your health, you know. It's really, really important that you understand that it's important to have a complete program, complete training system. Now, go on.
I'd like to just give my 2 cents on what you just said there. We never created the Handstand Masterclass to be or any of our masterclasses to be something that people only do on their own. We always created it to be a bolt-on to the UMS. But that said, we recognize that some people aren't ready to commit to something like the UMS. So when we created them, we said, how can we make this program as complete as possible so that if somebody only gets this program, they're getting the best that we can give them for what they need.
Yep.
So if you've only got one of these masterclasses and that's all you have of our programming, by all means go for it and do the best you can do, and you will get a great result. But just understand that when you're ready to really go to the next level, this is something that fits in to the bigger picture, which is the UMS. And do we want to talk about that? How we fit it into the UMS?
Yeah,
training?
100%. First and foremost, I just want to talk about why this is the better way to learn handstands, and I'm going to highlight what Randall said here. I can speak to all that you have said so far. 53 years old. Yeah, and I am currently extending the third phase of the masterclass to keep building up to longer wall holds. It's a progression in the program. I have had no injuries and only experienced a bit of soreness in the traps, which is you're pushing the floor away when you're inverted, and that's really heavily activating the trapezius muscles in the neck and the shoulders. If I had tried using any other program, I can guarantee I would have hurt myself, either through wrist injury or a bad fall. One of the things that we do teach in the very beginning of the Handstand Masterclass is how to bail out, which is very important. If you're going to go inverted, you need to know how to fall. And so this is one of the many reasons why I believe it's the better way to learn handstands. We teach you how to fall. We teach you how to condition your body. It's using not just like most hand balancers that I've learned from, and I've learned from almost half a dozen, probably 4, who are professional. They make their living off traveling the world teaching people how to handstand. Neither of them were a sports exercise scientist, exercise physiologist, personal trainer, or strength and conditioning coach. They were all taught by someone who was neither of those as well, so they don't understand these scientific principles of strength and conditioning, how the body adapts. They know it through a series of Chinese whispers, and they get very good at handstands because they do it and only do it for 10 years, and that's not taking anything away. They've achieved incredible results, but a lot of them, when I even were working with them, were carrying quite severe injuries. And so that is another reason why it's so important that you learn it the right way with proper strength and conditioning principles added to the glossy stuff of going inverted and that sort of thing. So let's talk about how it fits in exactly.
Well, it's really, look, the thing with skill training is you want to do your skill training before you do your strength training, and there's a very, very good reason for that. Strength training fatigues the body, especially the nervous system, the central nervous system, and you need to be fresh to do a skill. If your central nervous system is fatigued, you can't, because a skill is a skill. It requires a lot of coordination and thinking. So basically you do it at the very start of your UMS workout. You do it when you're fresh, you do your warm-up, and then you do your hand balancing training. Now there's certain things that will double up on there, like the warm-up. You'll see a lot of the stuff in the warm-up, or some of the conditioning exercises for the Handstand Masterclass are also in your UMS program. You don't need to do them again if that's the case. If you do something in your handstand workout, then you don't need to also do it in your regular UMS workout. It's as simple as that.
Yep.
Just do it at the start of your workout. Don't do it at the end.
Yep.
You will be fried and you will not be able to do good handstands, and you will most likely injure yourself.
Yeah, you'll be very frustrated too because you just don't seem to ever make progress because your nervous system's so fried. Yeah. And it's a really great journey to go on. It's a great skill to unlock. It's a great skill to unlock just in nature because of the adaptation that occurs in the body, But what you're going to find is that you need insane shoulder and flexibility, insane shoulder strength and flexibility. The biggest limitation that I see people who try to come and learn handstands is their shoulder and thoracic spine mobility. If you cannot stack up and get your hands into really nice shoulders, into really nice flexion above the head, without limitation, without restriction, and part of doing that is the thoracic spine moving a bit, opening up, going into extension. If you're locked up through there and you've got like a desk worker sort of posture, it's going to be basically impossible. And so you need a program that's not only going to throw you up onto your hands, because that's just going to expose you to major problems and injuries and eventually quite severe wear and tear in the shoulders. it's going to make you work really hard because you're going to be using muscle strength to stack you up there, hold you up there, not just the bone structures in your body resting on one another. You know, to do a handstand, it's kind of a bit of a Zen moment. Once you nail it and you get used to it, you're working to keep your body in a straight line. You're not working to hold yourself upside down. And it's quite a unique feeling, you know. I remember having that crossover point where all of a sudden I was able to stack, and when you hit the line, you go, oh wow, this is actually really easy. Yeah, you know, there's no effort anymore. Yeah. All my concentration and effort is just not to buckle from that straight line. Yeah. You know. And then, of course, you need hand and elbow strength and core strength and spinal mobility. And if your program is not delivering on all of those 3 or 4, or actually it's actually 6 things there, you're just going to struggle. You're going to have a lot of frustration and probably some injury. So, anyway, guys, that is the show today, and it's a great journey. I really encourage you all to have some fun on this one, and as Rad said, you're going to find that there are going to be
time. Just understand that it's going to take time. Allow it to happen, and if you're listening to this and you haven't done so already, jump onto the 12 Days of Christmas deal and join the UMS online coaching program. You get a 2-week free trial, and so you can try it. If you don't like it, just cancel. And if you continue on, you will have access to all our masterclasses. It's $1,200 of US dollars value added to it. It's a no-brainer. Get on there and get ready for 2021. Hit the ground running in January with all that you need to get strong, flexible, and learn some amazing skills.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys, have a great day.
Tomorrow we're talking about press to handstands, how to unleash your press to handstand. It's going to be great. That's a fun one. All right, guys, take care. Health is about performance, not just body image.
You better be willing to accept what you're going to have to do to get there.
We'll start focusing on movement goals, strength goals, flexibility goals.
When you nail that skill, it's there forever.
The body image goal doesn't get you that far.
It's the consistency and frequency that's going to get you there. It's not the intensity.
There's no shortcuts to mastery and movement. Destination doesn't change overnight, but your direction will.
The gym is not the place to beat up the body that you hate. It's the place to build the body that you love.
We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.